There have been several reports made recently, in April 2024, that the Indian language school in Ilupeju, Lagos, only admits Indian nationals as students. This was investigated by correspondents from Punch newspaper, TVC News, and other Nigerian news companies. And the discrimination against non-Indians was clearly revealed by undercover investigators from TVC News.
I visited the school alongside my cameraman to verify the claims. We walked in like parents there to make inquiries about the school's admission process. We found out that the school offers all other subjects, and that include English and mathematics, but makes Hindu a compulsory subject for its students.
It's a nice place you have here. Meet my husband.
On whether Nigerians are allowed in the school, this was the response we got.
Indian salad. Oh, okay. So my children can't come here. But you should know.
The Indian language school has been operating in Lagos for over 40 years, since April 1982. On April the 22nd, 2024, the S/Twitter user, The Common Room, identified the discriminatory practices of this school to the Punch News correspondent, Benga Oloni Niran. The Common Room declared that in 2009, after an inter-school debate when I discovered there were only Indian students, they inquired about the school. Then I was informed their passport was a prerequisite for admission. So, the school has been doing this for at least 15 years. However, it has probably been going on a lot longer, because the school principal in 2009, Dr. Suma Kanwa, was appointed as the principal in 1990, 34 years ago. You can see the direction of Kanwa's leadership in her attitude towards Nigerians. In an autobiographical article published on her retirement in the Indian High Commission's Infinitize magazine from 2013, Nigerian studies have been included in the student activities, and our students have learned to appreciate and imbibe many aspects of Nigeria's rich culture. Students have the opportunity to interact with students of Nigerian and other international schools. Many of them can sing Yoruba songs and perform local ethnic dances. Why would young foreign school students need someone to create opportunities to interact with Nigerian school students when those foreign children are living in Nigeria? Unless you as a parent have already been intentionally restricting who your children talk, interact, and play with. You have been keeping your children away from the citizens of the country that they are living in. On discussing the school's commitment to diversity, the S-head declared, just like the students, the teachers of ILS too come from all parts of India. I have found this variety to be an important means of contributing to national integration, and I have tried to encash this multi-ethnicity. Does this look like a multi-ethnic school? And is this surprising, given Kanwa's prideful declaration that we produce excellent results at both the secondary and senior secondary school levels? This is no mean feat, given the fact that we do not refuse admission to any Indian student. By Indian culture, Kanwa's statement strongly implies that certain types of students are inherently less capable than others. She could be talking about intelligence. But the school's emphasis on inclusivity of Indian background means that she is most likely talking about caste, a subject which I will get to later. But why would she feel it is important to say Indian student and not student when talking about admission refusers? Probably because our admission policies have been continued by the current head teacher, Mrs. Sonali Gupta. The objective of Indian language school is to reach out to the Indian community with the aim of imparting purposeful education based on the CBSE curriculum, only Indians. Despite the school apparently training staff on how to create an inclusive, diverse classroom in a training session held in March 2024. The registration form for admission to the Indian language school appears to accept any nationality. However, the small print on the form has some additional requirements.
A self-attested copy of birth certificate of the child along with original for verification. The certificate issued by municipal corporation only is valid.
Municipal corporation is an Indian institution for registering the births of only people who were born in India. So how would a person born outside India, who is not an Indian citizen, obtain this?
Photocopy of caste certificate if SC, ST or OBC, along with original for verification, if applicable.
Why is a caste certificate considered potentially relevant information unless a school is operating under Indian law regarding reporting of education access quotas?
A self-attested copy of Aadhaar card of the student and both the parents, along with original for verification, not mandatory.
Why is an Indian national identity card even considered a relevant document? In fact, apart from a passport or driving license, there is no mention of any legal identity document that a Nigerian citizen is likely to own. All of the identity documents mentioned on the application form assume that at least one of the parents of the registrant will be an Indian national. And by the requirement to have a birth certificate issued by a municipal corporation, the potential student must have had their birth registered with the Indian government. They must be declared to be an Indian citizen by birth. In the Punch News article from the 23rd of April 2024, it was stated that a source in the Indian High Commission who preferred anonymity because they were not authorized to speak to the media said the Indian school was established based on some conditions in Nigeria. The male source was quoted as saying, "One of the conditions is that it will not enroll locals in the school. It is not their fault." So, the school administration clearly expects that it will be excluding locals, Nigerians, from admission. After the behavior of this school was revealed by Punch News, other Nigerian organizations picked up the story and also investigated. TVC News sending in undercover reporters, as we have shown. And at the recent Lagos State Government Ministerial Review 2024, The Tribune newspaper asked about the exclusionary behavior of the school administration. And the Commissioner for Basic Education and Secondary Education, Mr. Jamiu Tolani Adedeji Ali Balogun, responded.
Good afternoon, sir. Of course, is right for the student. So I will take you back to the primary school. The private school generally, what is the part of the regulations? We saw, or we had, that there is a school that prevents other nationals from coming in as a student. We want to know what the law is saying in Lagos. You've already told us that as regards the issue of prices, school can determine whatever. I want to know, sir, what exactly the state say? Is it legal for any school to fence or to close store against any other nationals, either by color or whatever? I want to know that.
And thank you very much once again. The issue of denial has to do with the school in Ilupeju, and we've gone to the school to carry out our investigation. Number one, we make reference to university and enabling law in Lagos State, education law, and also the private education law. Aside from that, we also have Child Rights Acts. Those three cannot be excluded. They protect every right of the child access to education. And in a situation where an organization, institution is denying that right, that means that organization or institution cannot exist within our space. At the end of the investigation, in which is ongoing, we use the necessary penalty to shut the school down until they comply with the necessary enabling laws and policies of the state when it comes to education governance.
This statement by our government conflicts with the anonymous source from the Indian High Commission. Looking deeper, the provisional approval to operate for the Indian Language School was granted by the then Lagos State Education Commissioner, Waidi Sansaliu, in 1991. This approval was conditional, and one of the requirements was that no Nigerian citizen should be admitted. Given that there appears to be a conflict between the original approval and the current regulations, it seems likely to me that regardless of the rules when the school was established, today the school is not operating in compliance with the current education laws and regulations of Lagos State. As Commissioner Ali Balogun said, organizations that behave like this and operate in our country need to be shut down. This is not just a school choosing to deliver an Indian school curriculum. They are actively separating themselves from Nigerian society, teaching Indian children that it is acceptable to do this, and doing it with money that they have earned from Nigeria. You may say, but why should I care if they are choosing to isolate themselves and their children, if they are paying for it? Because this is not what they are actually doing. Look, their children are enrolled in a school that is exclusively for Indians, taught that Indian culture is more significant than Nigerian culture, transported to school by Nigerian house helps and drivers, served by Nigerian kitchen staff and cleaners, and placed in an environment where they are taught that to be Indian is to be better than Nigerian. Visitors to the Indian Language School are presented to the students of the school as important people, people who you should look up to and respect when those visitors are Indian. But Nigerian dignitaries are merely giving tours around the school. They are not presented to the students as people of significance. Nigerian visitors may be shown respect by the people guiding them around on their visit, but they are not then also shown off to the school children as people worthy of being respected. Unlike the Indian, politicians, school trustees, local business people, and school donors. Segregating their children away from Africans and celebrating it is a way to teach their children that the Indian ideas about caste are correct, that Indian people are intrinsically better than Nigerians. If their children grew up with and had Nigerian school friends, then this wouldn't be possible. But segregating them and saying, this is a special school for Indians only, enables them to embed the idea of we are better than Nigerians in their children's heads. This trains out empathy for Nigerians from these children. They will think of Nigeria and Nigerians as the other, and think that segregating themselves away from the citizens of the country they were born in is a normal thing to do, that it is part of being Indian. That to be Indian is to actively not be Nigerian. The Indian language school has been lauded by Indian heritage people in Ilupeju as the reason that they have managed to create a majority Indian ethnicity community in Lagos. It creates a cultural hub for many Indians who want to segregate themselves from Nigerians. And this is probably because the school actively encourages its students to think of themselves as Indian first, to give oaths to follow the Constitution of India on the day of India's independence.
We, the people of India, have solemnly resolved to constitute,
but only celebrate Nigeria's Independence Day to inculcate an understanding of the culture of Nigeria and imbibe the desirable values from the Nigerian culture. India has a problem with caste prejudice. They have traditionally separated their society by economic status and occupation, and then associated lighter skin tones with high caste, and darker brown skin tones with low caste. Africans are traditionally considered to be low caste because of the color similarity with people who traditionally do the lowest caste jobs in India. And every paler-skinned Indian person is considered to be intrinsically better than an African. Creating their own segregated places, separate from our people, enables them to act like high caste Ajebota in a way that they never get to in India. People in India have tried to dismantle the caste system since 1947, when the British were kicked out. These migrants want to recreate it in Nigeria with money that they have earned from job opportunities that we have given them. If the situation was that they wanted to surround themselves with everything only Indian, why are they getting Nigerian people to be their house help, their drivers, security guards? Maybe they cannot afford to arrange the immigration of other Indians to do those jobs. And they really, really like the idea of having brown-skinned African people, Nigerians, working for them. Their Indian children get to see their Nigerian house help taking them to school, Nigerian security guards, Nigerian drivers, and Nigerian school cleaners. But the high prestige jobs of the teachers are almost all Indian. So, the Nigerian employees being given roles as servants to Indians creates the fantasy for Indian children that in a place India controls, they are all high caste. For 40 years now, the Indian language school has been creating an environment where the parents get to live out this fantasy of being high caste. And the students are brought up to think that this is acceptable, something that the Indian government works to prevent in their own country. It is not reasonable to assume that the Indian government is unaware of the discriminatory behavior of the school. Since its inception, the head of the Board of School Trustees has been the Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria. They have the ultimate responsibility for ensuring that the school conforms to the education regulations and laws of Nigeria. The Private Educational Institutions Law of Lagos State clearly states culpability for any person in control of a private educational institution that is not compliant with the law. This includes trustees. Approval for private educational institutions to operate in Lagos is managed by the Lagos State Office of Education Quality Assurance. To get approval requires a school to be provably compliant to the guidelines for public and private schools in Lagos State. Once a school achieves full approval to operate, which takes at least 10 years, that approval can be renewed annually. As long as a private school pays the annual fees, continues to have satisfactory inspection reports, and maintains compliance with the current regulations. The Indian Language School obtained full approval in 1994, 30 years ago. For private schools that choose to operate a foreign curriculum, the available most recent issue of the guidelines from 2016 set certain additional requirements. These include adding to the curriculum the teaching of citizenship, environmental studies, and economics, as well as aspects of Nigerian history, culture, and language. And 3/4 of the teachers in a private school shall be Nigerians. The current published curriculum of the Indian Language School does not include these subjects, except on Indian citizenship. And the teaching staff are definitely not 3/4 Nigerian. So, why has this happened? Why have foreigners residing in our country managed to not only run a school that seems to only admit Indian pupils, a non-compliance with the current law of Lagos State, according to Commissioner Ali Balogun, but also a school that appears to have gotten away with consistently breaking all the education regulations?